My dear brothers and sisters, tonight we remember a Muslim ruler whose courage became legendary, a man who was called the Tiger of Mysore, Tipu Sultan. He lived in the 18th century, was born in 1751 CE in Devanahali, near Bangalore, a time when mighty empires clashed and colonial powers sought to enslave nations. Yet, in the southern lands of India, there arose a king who refused to bow to foreign rule, who fought not only with swords, but with faith, intelligence, and strategy. His name still echoes as a symbol of resistance, sacrifice, and honor. His father, Sultan Hyder Ali, had risen from the ranks of a soldier to become the ruler of Mysore. From a young age, Tipu was trained in the art of war, horsemanship, and strategy. His education, however, was not limited to weapons. He studied Quran, Islamic sciences, languages like Persian and Arabic, and the sciences of his age. His tutors shaped him into both a scholar and a warrior. He earned his title, Tipu Sultan, after the great Saint Tipu Mastan Olia, and throughout his life he carried the balance of spirituality and bravery. Even as a youth, his sharp mind and fearless spirit set him apart. When the British East India Company began to expand its grip over India, Tipu stood beside his father in battle, learning not only the tactics of war but the strategies of empire. When Hyder Ali passed away in 1782, Tipu inherited the throne. At only 31 years old, he became Sultan of Mysore, one of the strongest kingdoms in southern India. From the very beginning, he was determined to resist the spread of British colonial rule. While many Indian rulers compromised or allied themselves with the British, Tipu made it his mission to fight them. Tipu Sultan modernized his army, introducing new technology, organizing his soldiers, and even pioneering the use of rockets in warfare, decades before Europe would adopt them. These rockets, made of iron casings filled with gunpowder, struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. The British themselves admitted that Tipu's military innovations gave him an advantage unlike any other ruler of his time. But Tipu was not only a warrior. He was also a just ruler who cared for his people. He reformed taxation to make it fairer, encouraged agriculture, built roads and irrigation, and supported trade. He introduced coinage and stamps bearing Islamic calligraphy, reminding his people that his rule was under the banner of Islam. He promoted scholars, poets, and artisans, making Mysore a flourishing kingdom of culture and learning. His faith guided him in every decision. He was known to rise in the night for Tahajjud prayer, to consult Quran and Sunnah in his governance, and to constantly remind his court that victory comes only by the help of Allah. Yet, despite his piety and justice, Tipu's reign was marked by constant struggle. The British, along with their allies, the Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad, saw in him a threat to their ambitions. He fought 4 major wars against the British, each time facing overwhelming odds, yet never surrendering his pride or his faith. It was in one of these moments that Tipu Sultan declared his most famous words: "It is better to live like a tiger for one day than to live like a jackal for 100 years." These words defined his life. A life of honor, courage, and sacrifice. Tipu Sultan's reign was destined to be written in the fires of war. The British East India Company, hungry for power and wealth, had already taken Bengal and moved southward with their allies, the Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad. They believed Mysore would fall easily, but they had not reckoned with the courage of the man history would call the Tiger of Mysore. The First and Second Anglo-Mysore Wars, even before Tipu inherited the throne, his father Hyder Ali had clashed with the British. Tipu, still a young commander, fought with bravery in the Second Anglo-Mysore War, 1780-1784. He struck fear into his enemies by leading lightning raids, surrounding forts, and outmaneuvering armies much larger than his own. When Hyder Ali died in 1782, Tipu continued the struggle. Despite British reinforcements, Tipu fought them to a standstill. His intelligence and courage forced the British to negotiate. The war ended with the Treaty of Mangalore, 1784, one of the few treaties ever signed on equal terms between the British and an Indian ruler. In it, both sides agreed to return captured territories. The British were humiliated. Never before had they been forced to treat an Indian ruler as their equal. The modernization of Mysore after the war, Tipu turned inward to strengthen his kingdom. He reorganized his army along European lines, but with a spirit of Islamic discipline. He trained his men in new tactics and improved his rocket technology, building iron-cased rockets that could travel nearly 2 kilometers, something the British had never faced before. Later, they would copy his designs and develop the famous Congreve rockets used in European wars. Tipu also worked to strengthen Mysore's economy. He encouraged silk production, built irrigation canals, and improved agriculture. He fostered trade with the Ottomans, Persians, and even the French, building a network that threatened the British monopoly. His capital, Seringapatam, became a center of both military power and cultural brilliance. The Third Anglo-Mysore War, but peace was short-lived. The British, along with their Indian allies, launched another war in 1790. This time, the odds were heavily against Tipu. He faced not just the British, but also the Marathas and the Nizam, both of whom had betrayed him. Yet Tipu fought fiercely, leading from the front lines. His rockets rained down on enemy camps, shocking even the disciplined British soldiers. He struck with speed and ferocity, earning his title, the Tiger of Mysore. Despite his courage, the combined might of his enemies was overwhelming. In 1792, he was forced to sign the Treaty of Seringapatam, surrendering half of his kingdom and handing over his 2 young sons as hostages to the British. The image of Tipu Sultan standing with dignity while his children were led away moved even his enemies. The British Governor-General, Lord Cornwallis, expected him to collapse in despair. Instead, Tipu stood tall and said, "My children are the children of the state. If Allah wills, they shall return." His sons were eventually returned, but Tipu never forgot the humiliation. He vowed never to allow the British to destroy his kingdom completely. The final stand, the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, the last chapter of Tipu's life, came in 1799. The British under Lord Wellesley once again allied with the Marathas and the Nizam to crush Mysore. They advanced on Seringapatam with overwhelming force. Inside the city, Tipu refused all offers of surrender. He knew the odds were hopeless, but his heart burned with faith. He declared, "To live like a tiger for one day is far better than to live like a jackal for 100 years." When the British breached the walls of Seringapatam, Tipu fought on horseback, sword in hand, rallying his soldiers. He refused to retreat, fighting until the very end. Surrounded and wounded, he fell in battle on May 4, 1799. The Tiger of Mysore died as he had lived, a warrior, fearless, unyielding, defiant against empires. The British found his body near the gate of the fort, his sword still in his hand. They marveled at his bravery. Even Lord Wellesley admitted, Tipu Sultan died like a soldier. His legacy, though Mysore fell, Tipu Sultan's name lived on as a symbol of resistance. His innovations in rocketry changed warfare. His defiance inspired later generations of Indians to resist colonial rule. His courage, his reforms, and his famous words made him a legend. But above all, Tipu Sultan remains remembered as a Muslim ruler who never compromised his faith. He fought for his people, for his land, and for his honor. He prayed in the night and fought in the day. He died not as a king begging for mercy, but as a tiger, roaring in defiance until his last breath. Tipu Sultan's story did not end on the battlefield of Seringapatam. His legacy was far greater than the walls that crumbled or the kingdom that was lost. What remained after his death was the memory of a man whose courage, faith, and wisdom outshone even the empires that defeated him. Those who lived under his rule remembered him not only as a warrior, but as a just and God-fearing king. He rose in the night to pray, reciting Quran with tears streaming down his face, seeking strength and forgiveness from Allah. His mornings were spent with scholars and advisors, and his days were dedicated to his people. He improved agriculture, reduced unjust taxes, encouraged artisans, and built trade routes that connected Mysore to distant lands. His palace may have been a fortress of stone, but his heart was a fortress of faith. He never saw rulership as a privilege but as a trust. He once wrote in his letters that kingship is nothing but a responsibility before Allah, and that every decision weighs upon the scale of the hereafter. His coinage bore the words of Tawheed, his banners carried the name of Allah, and his army marched with the reminder that victory is from him alone. Even his enemies admitted that Tipu's discipline and organization made him a ruler unlike any they had faced. Yet his greatness lay not only in his governance or his victories, but in the way he accepted loss with dignity. When he was forced to give his sons as hostages, he did not despair, nor did he curse Allah. Instead, he bore the test with patience, reminding himself and his court that all belongs to Allah and all returns to him. When his children were taken, he said that they were children of the state and entrusted to Allah's care. Such faith and composure shook even the British, who were accustomed to seeing defeated kings begging for mercy. Tipu Sultan loved knowledge as much as he loved battle. He filled his libraries with books, supported scholars and poets, and preserved the sciences of his age. He was fluent in Persian, Arabic, and Kannada, and his letters reveal a man of sharp intellect and deep spirituality. His interest in science and innovation led him to develop the iron-cased rockets that would later inspire European military technology. For Tipu, knowledge and war were not contradictions. They were both tools for the defense and flourishing of his people. The British, after defeating him, marveled at his courage. They found his body lying near the gates of his fortress, sword still clutched in his hand. Even his conquerors admitted that he died like a true soldier, refusing to flee when others abandoned their posts. For Tipu, surrender was worse than death. His famous words live on even today. To live like a tiger for one day is better than to live like a jackal for 100 years. After his fall, Mysore was divided and weakened, and India moved closer toward the full grip of colonial rule. But Tipu's defiance became a beacon. His story spread beyond India, reaching the Ottoman Empire, the Middle East, and even Europe. To Muslims, he was a hero who fought for Islam and resisted foreign domination. To the colonizers, he was a dangerous reminder that not all kings could be bought or subdued. His life and death inspired future generations of freedom fighters, reminding them that dignity is worth more than survival. Even today, centuries later, the memory of Tipu Sultan burns brightly in the hearts of those who resist oppression. His fortresses still stand, his mosque still echoes with prayer, and his innovations in science and warfare remain a testament to his brilliance. But above all, his words and his life remind us of a timeless truth, that honor, faith, and courage outlast empires. Tipu Sultan was not just the Tiger of Mysore. He was a servant of Allah who chose dignity over humiliation, resistance over submission, and martyrdom over compromise. His story is not merely history, but a lesson that a believer's true crown is his taqwa, and the greatest empire is the one built upon fear of Allah and service to his creation. May Allah accept his struggle, forgive his shortcomings, and raise him among the martyrs who gave their lives in the path of justice and truth.